The Corus Steel Operations Management Assessment. Corus Group was formed through the merger of Conan Kalijki Hugovens and British Steel plc in 1999 and was the constituent of the FTSE 100 index. Corus Steel ranked about ninth place in the world's top 10 biggest steel mills in 2007. Tata Steel of India acquired Corus in 2007 as part of a strategy of international expansion. This elevated Tata Steel to the position of third place in a list of the world's top 10 biggest steel suppliers. This turned out to be one of the worst business decisions in history. After all, the Tatas were buying an entity that was nearly 4 times the size of Tata Steel. As it turned out, the $12.1 billion Corus acquisition, the biggest global acquisition made by an Indian company, ended up as a millstone around Tata Steel's neck. First reason why Tata wanted to buy Corus was to tap into the European market. Tata Steel had looked at possibly setting up a new plant, that would be the Greenfield plant, but they found that the cost of acquisition of buying Corus was actually cheaper than setting up the Greenfield plant and a new marketing and distribution channel. There was a difference in the things that they made. Tata manufactured low-value, long and flat steel products, while Corus produced high-value stripped products. The acquisition helped Tata to be featured as one of the top 10 steel players in the world. Another major benefit of Tata Steel purchasing Corus was the technology benefit. By upgrading all the technology in the steel plant, economies of scale were a sure possibility. And of course, Corus holds a number of patents and R&D facilities that were of major value to any steel producer. It was also felt there were several reasons why Corus would accept the offer to sell to Tata. First came a chance to bail out of a debt and financial crisis that totaled $1.6 billion. Next, the access to cheap, high-quality iron ore from India. Corus needed supplies of raw materials at lower costs. Corus facilities were relatively old with high-cost production. Though Corus had revenues of $18.06 billion, its profit was only $626 million. Tata's revenue was $4.84 billion and profit $824 million. We can see that the profit per revenue ratio was much higher. We can see in the SWOT analysis of Corus at the time that it was the world's 9th largest and Europe's 2nd largest company. It also produced a wide range of products of high technology. The weaknesses, they had a lack of access to raw material and high operational costs. Opportunities, they could get access to raw materials through merger. They could decrease the overlapping cost of the value chain. And finally, the threats, an increase in losses could result in the winding up of the company. The SWOT analysis of Tata at the time, the strengths were a low cost of production, easy access to raw materials in India, low debt equity ratio, and the brand Tata. The weaknesses were the quality of the steel was not as good as the per international standard, lack of R&D, and lack of technology. Still, it had some opportunities. Tata was a world leader in steel by having competitive advantage in cost and high quality steel. Other threats were competition. At this time, Tata was about number 57 in the top 100. The SWOT analysis of Corus, as given in the article Corus Continuous Improvement, its first strength was it was a worldwide provider of steel. Secondly, it had a strength in providing innovative solutions. Third on the list was its diversified product range, including construction, energy and renewables, engineering and machinery, mining and earth-moving equipment, shipbuilding, fastenings, and rail. Another strength was Corus's freight and transportation network, a network that included water, rail, road, and air. Finally, one of the best strengths that it had was its sheer volume of production. Very large volumes being produced that created great economies of scale. The weaknesses included waste, poor product quality, excessive rework time, inadequate response time, high costs, and non-innovative products and services, and the largest, which was the lack of raw materials available in Britain. Opportunities included things like addressing weaknesses, transportation of the cheaper, more abundant raw materials from India from Tata Steel. There was an opportunity to bring down costs and make more revenue through upgrading technology. Still, there's a threat to Corus because Tata paid a 35% premium above market value, and most of the purchase price was financed. Looking at the financials, we can see that this was very aggressive for Tata Steel. Revenues being less than $10 billion in 2003, they showed steady increase, and in 2006, we're at $30 billion. But still, with only 1 year at that rate and that growth, they stepped out and purchased Corus. Corus, on the other hand, had a pretty constant income at around $40 billion. Looking at this, I would have suggested that Corus purchased Tata instead of Tata purchasing Corus, but that's not what happened. Looking at the assets, we also see that Corus had almost $700 billion in assets, while Tata Steel was barely over $100 billion. Up to now, we've seen that assets and profits seem to favor Corus, but here's where really the strength was lying with Tata Steel. In the liabilities, Corus had $400 billion in liabilities, and that is what was putting them under. So this was a strength for Tata, but a weakness for Corus. Revenue, on the other hand, shows a different story. $1 billion in revenue coming in for Corus, while even in 2005, Tata Steel was $175 million. Key opportunities and strategies. First off, the supply chain. Access to low-cost Indian ore and reserves is a great opportunity and a great strategy. Another opportunity would be the access to the Indian ore with freight shipping through the Mediterranean Red Sea passage. This will lower the cost drastically of freight shipping by sea. Another opportunity would be adding the Tata Red Sea Mediterranean passage to the already gigantic Corus land, sea, air distribution network. One of the biggest opportunities that Corus now has is the opportunity to upgrade its technologies. Now that Tata has acquired Corus Steel, an upgrade of technologies will bring great economies to scale. Another great opportunity that Corus now has is to integrate just-in-time supply networking. Since shipping is available for inbound raw materials by ocean freight and by both train and truck, implementation of manufacturing and resource planning can be very helpful. This will increase revenues by limiting the costs of raw materials. No longer will Corus have to store so much inventories in case of emergency, but the just-in-time supply network will deliver as needed. Having a vendor-managed materials inventory system is a smart move for Corus here. Having Tata India do the heavy lifting for the manufacturing materials and supply inventory is just a smart move. This is a cross-docking technique in which we'll use the freighters themselves as the dock. Instead of storing all that extra material in front of or on site, we can have a constant stream of freight coming through the Mediterranean Red Sea port. And basically, the inventory is on the freighters. This cross-docking technique just goes hand in hand with just-in-time, as well as with manufacturing resource planning. The next opportunity and strategy we'll look at is Corus's implementation of a hybrid delivery and distribution system in which the first come, first served is Tier 2 and Tier 1 is priority and time-sensitive deliveries. The key performance indicators, the KPIs that we'll be using from here on out, says not one order is ever delivered late. In order to achieve this, we'll be using the first come, first serve, but if something looks like it's going to be running close or late, it'll move to the front of the line. We're going to be moving from the linear start from scratch to create every single thing model to a manufacturing cell and flexible manufacturing system. The idea is to get rid of waste and wasted time. So if we have a cell system in which the first cell would create the plate metal and the next cell would create those things can be made out of the plate metal, or if someone ordered plate metal, they'd get shipped off, and then so on to smaller and smaller pieces. By doing this, we're using the metals that we've already created to do half the work. That saves time. That also saves materials. Corus will be moving from the quality assurance department standard to total quality management. The idea is that each item is inspected at the end of each cell and then re-inspected at the beginning of each cell. The employees that handle the items will have to inspect, and if it doesn't meet the quality standards, send it back. Total quality management puts the quality in the hands of the employees. We expect quality to rise like this because each item is inspected over and over again. Also, when it is inspected and passed, it gets a check mark inside of the inventory software so we can keep track for each item where it is in the manufacturing process. This is how we'll be able to set our benchmarks and our KPIs. Corus will be using benchmarking to set expectations. These benchmarks will be accrued through monitoring the ticks from cell to cell for manufacturing, monitoring the checkpoints for the freighters and delivery of raw materials, and monitoring the tracking for the delivery of our products. This way, we'll be able to keep track of the time it takes to manufacture, to deliver, and to receive. This should greatly reduce lead times and late products. Also, since Corus now is the third largest steel producer in the world, we'll be setting the standards. Since our technology is going to rise to the top, these benchmarks are going to be set for many other companies to come. As Corus reviews the time it takes to manufacture from cell to cell and the time it takes to deliver, Corus will be able to set a list of best practices according to time and quality. Productivity enhancement through behavior and cultural control methods is planned next. Behavior control can be done through incentives such as Employee of the Month. However, by far the biggest change will be the cultural change of the implementation of continuous improvement strategies. Continuous improvement in processes, continuous improvement in delivery systems, continuous improvement in total quality, and of course the total culture, continuous improvement in total culture. Everybody will be looking on what we can do to improve what we already have. How can we make it better? How can we increase quality? Are there better practices? Is there a way to get the product out quicker? Implementation and controlling waste. The first way Corus is going to control waste is by inventory. Inventory is going to come from Tata Steel in India. No longer is Britain and the vendors here in Britain going to be supplying the major portions of Corus's inventory of raw materials. Instead, inventory will come from India, low cost and abundant. Also, transportation. Getting that inventory to Corus Britain Corus is going to use the Red Sea and the Mediterranean passage, mostly freighters, ocean liners. By using ocean liners and this passage, it saves millions of dollars in transportation costs. Also, it gives Corus the opportunity to use the freighters themselves in cross-docking method. This allows Corus to use just-in-time and vendor-managed inventory systems that save space and money. Motion. People moving or traveling mostly is going to be controlled through the immediate use of video conferencing, phone conferencing technology. Waiting times are going to be controlled by putting in tracking systems and inventory software management systems. This will allow Corus to track all products coming in and going out. This allows Corus to set benchmarks, KPIs, and best practices. Overproduction will be a thing of the past. Today, we're making more stuff to order instead of to stock. Making products to order means that Corus won't have to stock and build up inventories. Instead, we're going to have contract delivery partners that will have emergency stock on their sites. Overprocessing. We're going to be moving to the cell system, like we said earlier. No more overprocessing. Instead, things that are smaller will be created out of the previous cell. Nothing's made from scratch anymore. Defects and errors are going to be controlled through total quality management. Total quality management, at the end of each cell, all things are inspected for errors and defects. In the supply chain, Indian low-cost ore ends the availability issues Corus has been having while reducing costs for materials. On top of the already low prices for the Indian ore, since Tata Steel will be virtually supplying all of the steel needed to this new third largest steel company in the world, Corus can expect economies of scale to increase revenue. Implementing vendor-driven inventory will be cost-effective to implement, as computer and communication networking will already exist due to installing the inventory computer systems. Keeping track of time-sensitive orders through KPIs will ensure materials resource planning is successful. Just-in-time is bringing down storage costs, and vendors are informed of time-sensitive supply needs. Below are pictures of Corus's heavenly port, and also a picture of the Mediterranean Red Sea passage. Inbound freight will predominantly use the Mediterranean passage from India. If necessary, Corus's previous vendor list can be used to ensure on-time product delivery. Outbound freight and products are computer tracked by checkpoint through Corus's extensive delivery network. Again, water transport is used as the first means of delivery. Second, train, then truck. Some items may qualify for air delivery. Costs of delivery are driven down by strategic product distribution and freight management. Further, costs are driven down through contracted delivery services, which may be required to store safety inventories as part of the contract. A time schedule has been worked out for weeks 1 through 5. In week 1, contract negotiations. Tata India begin vendor-controlled raw material inventory, cost savings calculated, economies to scale included, and then software upgrade begins. In week 2, inventory software and networking with Corus and Tata are completed. Cell processing terminals are installed. Delivery route through the Red Sea and Mediterranean is confirmed, and first shipment leaves Tata's port. In week 3, software inventory cell systems begin to estimate KPIs for processing time. Material tracking begins to estimate lead time for KPIs. Frequency of inbound shipping is adjusted, and orders begin according to just-in-time and materials resource planning. Week 4, outbound product begins to be logged in inventory management systems. Shipping partners are networked into inventory software systems. And shipping partners also begin to store emergency inventory stocks. Delivery tracking begins. Finally, in week 5, inbound key performance indicators are now adjusted. Best practices are formed from those, and the sheets are published. Inventory management is reviewed, delivery tracking is reviewed, and plant processing technology began to be upgraded. Implementation of controlling the waste of motion means people moving or traveling excessively is controlled through technology. Smartphones, FaceTime, and video conferencing is used for vendors. Customers will be contracted by their assigned sales representatives only, and they must either talk to them by phone, face-to-face, or video conference. Waiting times, allowing products to wait for processing, is controlled now by just-in-time inventory systems and vendor-controlled inventory systems, along with the manufacturer resource planning. Overproduction, making too much, is now controlled also by just-in-time inventory systems, contracted delivery services, and total quality management. Production processes that minimize waste are referred to as lean production, and best practices will be set through total quality management and continuous improvement KPIs. Finally, errors and defects are brought low by total quality management and the continuous improvement culture. The time schedule for inventory implementation is week 1, managers, sales, and lead people put in place for Corus. Training in total quality management, manufacturing and resource planning, Six Sigma, and new inventory software begins. Video conferencing begins with Tata and shipping partners. Week 2, the plant is put into cell production configuration. Tata people begin training in total quality management, manufacturing resource planning, Six Sigma, and inventory software. The just-in-time raw materials inventory management begins. Shipping partners begin training same as above. In week 3, the cell data begins to regulate just-in-time inventory, and the total quality management system begins. Inbound safety supply is adjusted according to inbound tracking from Tata India. The key performance indicators are beginning to take control. Quality begins to be regulated by the cells using total quality management. By week 4, the managers and lead personnel are trained and begin scheduling training classes for all employees. They'll train them in total quality management, manufacturing resource planning, lean systems, just-in-time inventory systems, continuous improvement culture, and the new software inventory system. In inventory week 5, sales team begins video conferencing with the supply chain, managers, and customers. And the KPI of only communicating with customers either by phone, video, or in person begins. Implementation of new technology. The Corus Steel machinery, software, and technology is outdated. New automated steel manufacturing equipment will be installed. This will bring down costs through less power consumption, less frequent repairs, fewer controllers, higher output, and better quality. One of the first and biggest upgrades to technology will be the communications software inventory system. Communications software will be installed and synced with all suppliers, vendors, contracted delivery services, sales, and management. This network will be at the heart of the just-in-time inventory management system, the manufacturing resource planning system, the key performance indicator system, and the strategic distribution network. A secondary purpose is the monitoring of material flow, production, cost, time, and deliveries. This is the data Corus will use to create benchmarks. The software system's implementation time schedule in week 1 Inventory software systems are reviewed. Systems are being installed. The production cell terminals are also installed. Smartphones and inventory scanners purchased and set up. Plant production technology is under evaluation. In week 2, inventory software systems are completed, installed, and running at Corus and Tata. Networking connections are established between Tata and Corus. Corus begins just-in-time inventories, and Tata begins overseeing as the vendor inventory manager. Smartphones and scanners are put in place. Production cell terminals are networked in. Week 3, production technology upgrade plan is created. Cell terminal begins to create benchmarks from data. Best practices list begins to be created. Just-in-time inventory supply begins to be implemented, with orders being regulated by cell data production scheduling. In week 4, the shipping partners are networked into the inventory system software. Orders begin to be shipped through shipping partners according to manufacturing resource planning and key performance indicators. Partners begin filling orders from emergency stocks. The plan for technology upgrade for the production plant is finalized. Week 5, inventory software system review, just-in-time schedule review, shipping partner delivery, key performance indicators success review. Production technology upgrade commences. Implementation of the just-in-time supply network. Just-in-time supply is managed as part of the vendor-controlled inventories. This is made possible by the implementation of manufacturing cells and flexible manufacturing systems, with total quality management working in tandem. As a product reaches the next cell or station and passes inspection, its place in the manufacturing process is reported in the inventory software, which triggers the request for on-time deliveries further down the process chain. Vendor-managed materials inventory. Tata will view the upcoming scheduled processes, as well as the work in process with manufacturing and supply needs, and ship accordingly. This information is part of the inventory software systems and is generated by the checklist from cell to cell. Not only will Tata be able to tell the orders that are coming into the process, but they'll also be able to tell how fast each item is working through production and how fast every item is shipped out and the length of time it takes for customers to receive their product. All items will be tracked as in transit, logged at checkpoints, and marked as delivered. Software and systems production system. Week 1. Production cell chain order is established. What's made first? What's made second? Reviewing what product stems from which cells helps Corus to know what to make first. Also, total quality management, just-in-time inventories, Six Sigma Black Belt training are taught to management and lead personnel. Key performance indicators are reviewed and established. At this time, the production material schedule estimations are manually created using historical production times and inventory needs. Week 2, vendor-managed inventory begins in tandem with old systems. Close monitoring of inbound tracking checkpoints begins. Flexible manufacturing using cell begins. Just-in-time inventory begins. Week 3, production cell terminals, inbound checkpoints, and outbound tracking begin to reveal shipping schedules and inventory inbound schedules inside of the software. Key performance indicators are reviewed with shipping partner. Total quality management begins. Week 4, just-in-time inventory systems take over. Tata Steel is vendor controlling inventory and production stock through product scheduling and lead time of raw materials and product cell data. Total quality management, Six Sigma, just-in-time inventories, lean productions, and the continuous improvement culture begins to be taught to employees. Week 5, production technology upgrade begins. Key performance indicators and benchmarks are reviewed with shipping partners. Best practices revision 1 is established. Continuous improvement meetings begin. Implementation of the hybrid processing KPI. First come, first serve is tier 2. It's the general tier. Most time, production will be producing on tier 2. Tier 1 orders have priority and are time sensitive. Tier 1 comes with the KPI that Corus has set, which focuses on meeting customer deadlines such as 1, a zero backlog of customer orders. This means customers always get their deliveries on time. And 2, meeting targets for rolling steel plate in its allotted week. Understand that steel plate is the first cell, and most all other things that are made will come after this cell. Production processes are lean and streamlined, working in conjunction with total quality management, continuous improvement, and benchmarking to create best practice policies. Cell and batch production processing are in chain processes, where at the end of each process, quality and the KPI is checked off as finished inside of the process software. Since Corus has a broad range of products, processes can be streamlined in a cell order in linear model. For each of the 16 systems, a number of rules about stock levels and stock rotation have been set up. First, stock rotation ensures that the plates for one customer do not become buried beneath others and therefore delayed. The required amount of slab steel feedstock must be in front of the mill by the Tuesday of the week in which the material is to be rolled. This is a KPI for Tata Steel as vendor inventory manager. By rolling plates in the planned week, the mill is properly paced and all downstream processes such as cutting, leveling, and inspection, and other processes such as manufacturing and production can be scheduled accordingly. This will also produce just-in-time inventory orders to Tata Steel. Implementation of cell structure. Rolled and plate steel is the first cell. Bars and other products are made from the rolled and plate steel, using each cell to produce a product, then using the following cells to refine the next product from the former. Here's a general diagram. You can see plate steel, bars and pipes, products required flat surface, and so on. For example, maybe a customer wants something made from small rolled bars. Then you wouldn't make that from scratch, from the ore. No, you would take it from cell 2 or cell 3, after which the ore had been rolled into plates, the plates had been made into large bars, and now you can take those bars and create the smaller bars. And that's how we save money. To touch again on the delivery system, remember it was hybrid, with tier 1 being the time sensitive and tier 2 being the general. Contracted delivery services with partners with Corus for the on-time delivery of products. This will require Corus delivery partners to keep inventories of fast-moving items to ensure KPIs of no late deliveries on orders are fulfilled. Access to the software inventory system will be granted to log orders filled through emergency stock. Converting and syncing the existing extensive product delivery pipeline to include tracking and total quality management, as well as continuous improvement, will be easily achieved through small technology changes. Lastly, Corus's Heavenly Harbor will be the main delivery pipeline for heavy freight. The implementation of total quality management. Number 1, focus on the customer, no late orders, order tracking, and salesman customer personal relationships. Quality function deployment, implementation of Six Sigma standards. Responsibility for quality. Responsibility for quality moves to the employee who checks each item before it moves on to the next cell or batch process. Team problem solving, continuous improvement culture, looking for the best practices and best KPIs. Employee training, encouragement in total quality management. Encouragement also for black belt certification in Six Sigma. Further avenues for college and health training will be supplied also. The philosophy of continuous improvement is part of the onboarding process, which requires buy-in. Implementation of total quality management, Six Sigma, and just-in-time inventories. Week 1, management and lead people are hired. Management and lead people get total quality management certifications, Six Sigma black belt certification, lean systems certification, just-in-time certifications, and continuous improvement certifications. Week 2, production sell order is established. Total quality management, quality inspection checklists are created. Waste evaluations are performed. Estimates of just-in-time production schedule is created. Week 3, total quality management checkpoints begin. Employees are scheduled for certification. Just-in-time begins to be implemented in production. Employees are trained on inventory software systems. Week 4, continuous improvement culture, training, and control measures begin. Employee onboarding classes begin. Continuous improvement cultural code of ethics is established. Week 5, continuous improvement meetings begin. Total quality management is used to create best practice lists. Waste is evaluated, just-in-time inventories, and all processes reviewed. Production technology upgrades begin. Implementation of continuous improvement culture. Continuous improvement means change for the better. It covers all processes in an organization, including engineering, IT, financial, commercial and customer services processes, as well as manufacturing. Continuous improvement involves making continual small improvement. This requires close monitoring and control. Changes to the uses of manpower, machinery, methods, materials, and money to improve business efficiency. Continuous improvement starts with management, then works down through the organization. That's why all the training happens with the management and lead personnel first. The underlying theme is that everyone is responsible. All have a part in making improvements, ensuring quality, and setting best practices. The 7 main areas of waste for any business, which have been already addressed earlier: transportation, inventory, motion, wasting time, production, processing, and quality, are at the heart of continuous improvement. The main purpose, to reiterate, is that continuous improvement requires change over time. Management process must also change and improve. Scheduling for each element of the process ensures that bottlenecks are kept to a minimum. Here's a suggested chart. Design characteristics, parts characteristics, operational processes, process requirements. Implementing a continuous improvement culture. In Scunthorpe, a continuous improvement manager coordinates the process. 40 CI coaches chosen from the workforce receive training to facilitate improvements. CCI has put together a toolbox of techniques which the coaches use with managers, employees, and operators. Techniques of control will include output control through benchmarks and key performance indicators, behavior control, looking for quality, and cultural control, improvement, growth, and innovation. Implementation of a continuous improvement culture means casting the vision. An organization needs to know where it is going in order to be able to put in place the resource it needs to achieve its plans. This is set out in a vision. Scunthorpe Plate Mill has set out a 5-year vision improvement which will help in the process of developing a continuous improvement culture for the business. The best starting point is for people to buy in to the upper management vision casting. Target setting. For continuous improvement to work, it requires everyone to think differently about the way they work. It was recognized that people might be resistant and cling on to the old ways of working. The key was getting all workers to see change as their responsibility. The CI coaches support the teams and individuals and promote or champion new ways of working. Over time, teams and individuals are empowered to take responsibility and make decisions for themselves. To help workers accept the changes, the 5-year plan establishes a timeline for the program of introducing change. In 2018, workers are expected to resist change, but the CI coaches should help. 2019, workers begin to adjust to the new ideas, and we can see a change in management and people championing the cause. In 2020, workers begin to suggest improvements and apply change. Manufacturing and process managers. In 2021, workers recognize the benefits of change. Team leaders. 2022, new ideas are fully adapted by the workers and the team. This is a typical management structure with continuous improvement culture.